Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. When a man says, I love you, it ain't just three little words rolling off his tongue. It's a declaration, a surrender, a confession of everything he's been fighting not to feel. But see, before he gets to that point, he goes through stages 5 of him, and every single one is like climbing a mountain inside his own heart. Men don't fall in love instantly. They move through emotional stages that test trust, loyalty, and respect. When Steve Harvey says this, he's talking about a truth that most people overlook. Love for a man isn't a flash of lightning or a fairy tale moment. It's a slow burn, a process that takes shape through experience and observation. When a man meets a woman who catches his attention, he doesn't immediately think she's the one. No, he studies. He pays attention. He looks for the little things, because to a man, trust is not something that happens with a heartbeat. It happens with consistency. The first stage of any man's love story begins with curiosity wrapped in caution. He might feel attracted. He might admire your smile or your confidence, but deep down he's thinking, can I trust this woman with my peace? Can I share my world with her without losing myself? See, ladies, men have learned through life that love can cost them. A man has probably seen heartbreak, maybe his, maybe someone else's, and it taught him to protect his emotions like a vault. That's why when you meet a good man, he doesn't just jump in head first. He measures your words, your reactions, your loyalty when no one's watching. When he tells you something small and you hold it with care, that builds a brick of trust. But if he feels judged, dismissed, or misunderstood, that wall gets higher. He's not testing you to play games. He's testing to protect his heart. Because when a man loves, he loves hard. And before he gives that kind of love, he needs to know he's giving it to the right woman. Men don't fall for words. They fall for energy. You can tell him you care, but he feels it through how you listen, how you respect his time, how you make him feel seen when the world overlooks him. Respect is the foundation of every man's emotional stages. If he feels disrespected, he shuts down. If he feels honored, he opens up. Loyalty, too, plays a role, not just in being faithful, but in being consistent. When he sees that your character doesn't change based on mood, company, or situation, that's when his guard starts to drop. Because to him, love isn't proven by what you say when things are good. It's proven by how you act when things get tough. Men don't move fast because they know what's at stake. Once a man decides to love, that's his commitment. He's not just saying, I love you. He's saying, I'm trusting you with my emotions, my dreams, my weaknesses. And that's not something he gives to just anybody. So when he moves through these stages, from interest to trust, from curiosity to comfort, he's measuring not if you're perfect, but if you're real. He's watching how you treat him when he's quiet, how you speak about him when he's not around, how you handle moments of misunderstanding. Every action tells him something, and slowly, that's how a man's heart begins to open. Love for him isn't a feeling that happens overnight. It's a decision he makes when his trust, loyalty, and respect for you align perfectly. And when that moment comes, his I love you will mean everything because it was earned through every stage that came before it. A man's journey to love is not about words, it's about how safe he feels with a woman. See, ladies, a man can be around beauty all day long. He can admire charm and confidence. But if he doesn't feel emotionally safe, he will never open his heart. You can't talk a man into loving you. You create the space for love by giving him peace. For men, safety isn't about protection from harm. It's about emotional security. When he feels he can be himself around you without judgment or pressure, that's when he starts to truly fall. Most men were raised to believe they have to be strong all the time, that showing emotion is weakness. So when he meets a woman who lets him be vulnerable, who listens instead of criticizes, who encourages instead of controls, he feels something rare. He feels safe enough to be real. And that right there is where love begins. A man might have money, status, and pride, but all that doesn't matter when he's with the wrong woman. The wrong woman drains him, questions him, or tries to fix him. The right woman gives him space to grow, to lead, and to fail without tearing him down. When a man feels that kind of acceptance, his guard starts to lower naturally. He doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't have to act like he's always got it together. That safety becomes his home. That's why when Steve Harvey talks about how a man falls in love, he says, be his peace. Because peace to a man is everything. It's the one thing the world doesn't always give him. So if he finds it in you, he'll protect you, respect you, and love you deeper than you ever imagined. Men aren't emotional talkers the way women are. They're emotional feelers. He might not say, I feel safe with you, but he'll show it. He'll spend more time with you, share more about his world, ask for your opinion, and trust your presence in his life. He'll tell you things he doesn't tell others because he's learning that you're not going to use his vulnerability against him. That's huge for a man because the moment he feels like you're judging him or comparing him, he shuts down. But when he feels understood, he leans in closer. He starts looking at you not as just a woman he likes, but as a woman he can build with, grow with, and one day love without fear. A man's safety is built through consistency. He watches how you respond to conflict, how you treat him when he's not at his best, and how you handle his flaws. If you stay calm when he's distant, if you show patience when he's uncertain, he notices. That's when trust starts forming. And with trust comes comfort. With comfort comes connection. And with connection comes love. That's the quiet truth behind how men fall. It's never just about attraction or chemistry. It's about emotional safety. The moment he feels he's safe in your heart, that's the moment his love begins to grow, steady and unshakable. Before a man says, I love you, he studies how you handle his silence, his struggle, and his success. That's the truth most women overlook. A man's silence isn't always distance. Sometimes it's his way of processing life. When he's quiet, He's not necessarily pulling away, he's observing. He's watching how you respond when the spotlight shifts away from you, when he's focused on something deeper, when he's tired or distracted. Because, ladies, how you handle a man's silence tells him everything he needs to know about your emotional maturity. If you panic, accuse, or assume, he sees instability. But if you remain calm, respectful, and understanding, he sees peace. Men fall in love with peace more than passion, with consistency more than chaos. When you can handle his silence without demanding constant reassurance, he starts to realize you're different. You're not trying to control him. You're trying to understand him. Now, when a man goes through struggle, that's when his heart is truly tested, and so is yours. Every man will face a season where he's not at his best. Maybe his money's tight, his confidence is low, or he's doubting himself. In those moments, he's not looking for pity. He's watching for partnership. He wants to know, can you still respect him when life humbles him? Can you still believe in him when he's questioning himself? When you show him that you're not just there for the shine, but for the storm, that's when love starts building roots. Because every man remembers how a woman treated him when he was struggling. If you stood beside him when he had little, he'll never forget you when he has more. Then comes success, and success, surprisingly, is another test. You see, when a man begins to rise, when his hard work starts paying off, he watches how you react to that too. Are you proud or are you possessive? Are you supportive or are you competitive? Men know that not every woman can handle a successful man because success attracts attention and temptation. But the woman who stays grounded, who doesn't let the shine change her energy, who cheers him on without insecurity, that woman becomes his peace at the top, just like she was his strength at the bottom. That balance is rare and it's powerful. When a man studies how you handle these three phases, his silence, his struggle, and his success, he's gathering proof about your loyalty and emotional depth. He's learning whether you love him for who he is, not for what he gives. Because love isn't proven when everything's easy. It's revealed when things shift. If you can respect his space when he's quiet, hold his hand when he's weak, and celebrate him without ego when he wins, he will see you as more than a partner. He'll see you as his safe place. And that's when I love you stops being words and starts being truth. Real love for a man begins when he sees you love him for who he is, not what he has. That's the deepest truth about men and love that most people miss. A man can sense when someone is drawn to his potential, his image, or his possessions, but what he craves is a woman who sees the man beneath all that. When he's with someone who values his character more than his car, his heart more than his house, that's when his guard starts to fall. Men live in a world that often defines them by what they can provide, what they can achieve, what they can give. But deep down, every man wants to be loved simply for being himself. Not the paycheck, not the power, not the perfection, just the person. And when a woman loves him from that place, she touches the part of him that money status, or success can never reach. When a man realizes that your care isn't conditional, it shifts something inside him. Maybe he's been around people who only showed up when he was winning. Maybe he's met women who only admired his strength but couldn't handle his weakness. So when you show him that your love doesn't disappear, when life isn't glamorous, you become unforgettable. That's when he starts to see you not just as someone in his life, but someone who understands his life. You see, a man's love grows where he feels acceptance. If he feels like he constantly has to perform to be worthy, he'll eventually pull back. But if he feels like he can breathe around you, that's when he starts to plant roots. Steve Harvey often says that a man gives to the woman who inspires him, who believes in him even when he doesn't have it all figured out. And that's because men are fueled by appreciation. When you acknowledge his effort, not just his results, you tell him that you see him beyond what he produces. That small moment of validation can mean everything. It's not about saying, "You're amazing because you bought me something." It's about saying, "I'm proud of the man you are becoming." That's a love that uplifts, not one that drains. And when a man feels that kind of love, he starts showing up more, giving more, committing more, not because he has to, but because he wants to. A man's true test is when everything he has is stripped away. That's when he sees who's still standing beside him. The woman who stays when the lights dim and the applause fades, she becomes his heart's home. He'll never forget that loyalty because it's rare, it's sacred. When you love a man for his essence and not his exterior, you give him the freedom to be human, to be flawed, to grow, to rise and fall. And once a man finds a love like that, he will spend the rest of his life protecting it. Because the woman who loves him for who he is gives him something the world never can: peace, belonging, and purpose. Every stage a man goes through reveals a deeper layer of his heart, fear, hope, and commitment. When a man starts to care about a woman, he doesn't just fall in love. He goes through an inner battle between what he feels and what he fears. Most men are taught to stay in control, to never let emotions lead them. So when love shows up, it shakes his structure. The first thing he feels is fear, fear of being hurt, fear of losing himself, fear of being vulnerable again. That's why you might see him pull back, hesitate, or act distant right when things seem to be going well. It's not because he doesn't care, it's because he does. His heart is opening, and that scares him more than he'll ever admit. Love to a man means giving someone access to the part of him he spent years protecting, and that kind of surrender doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, reassurance, and proof that his feelings are safe with you. Then comes hope, that quiet belief that maybe, just maybe, this connection is different. When he starts hoping, he begins to picture a future. He starts letting you into his world in small, careful ways. He tells you about his dreams, his plans, his goals. He begins to look for your voice in his decisions, your support in his struggles, your energy in his space. Hope makes him open up more, share more, trust more. But this is also where many women misunderstand him. When a man starts showing hope, he doesn't always say it in words, he shows it through action. Spending more time with you, doing small, thoughtful things, or making sacrifices you may not even notice. That's his way of saying, you matter. But if that hope is met with inconsistency, criticism, or pressure, he shuts it down because hope is fragile for a man. He'll only nurture it if he feels his emotions won't be used against him. Finally comes commitment, not the surface kind, but the real kind that comes from emotional peace. Once a man pushes past fear and finds safety and hope, that's when he's ready to give his heart fully. Commitment for him isn't about just saying, I love you. It's about showing up day after day, even when things aren't easy. It's about protecting you, prioritizing you, and letting you into the spaces he once guarded. You'll know he's committed when he starts including you in his decisions, when he looks at you like you're not just part of his life, you are his life. This level of love doesn't come fast, but when it does, it's deep and loyal, because by the time a man reaches that stage, he's already faced his fears, trusted his hope, and made peace with his choice. He's not loving you because he's lonely. He's loving you because he's sure. And that's when I love you becomes more than a phrase. It becomes his truth, spoken from every layer of his heart. I love you isn't the beginning of love for a man. It's the confirmation that you've earned his trust. When a man finally says those 3 words, it's not something casual or impulsive. It's a moment that's been building quietly, stage by stage, through everything he's seen and felt with you. A man doesn't say, I love you just because the timing feels right or because he's caught up in a feeling. He says it when his soul feels safe enough to attach to yours. That moment represents his surrender, his vulnerability, his acceptance that you are the one person who reached his heart without forcing it open. For a man, I love you is not an introduction, it's a seal, the proof that he's found what he's been searching for: peace, trust, and genuine connection. Before those words come out, a man spends time watching how you handle his heart without even knowing you're holding it. He's seen you respect his silence. He's felt your patience when he pulled away. He's noticed how you stayed steady instead of emotional when he needed space. All those moments added up to something powerful in his spirit. Each act of grace told him, I can trust this woman. And once that trust is cemented, love becomes inevitable. That's what makes his I love you different from anyone else's. It carries the weight of reflection, of testing, of silent moments where he almost said it but held back until he was sure. When a man says, I love you, he's not only expressing affection, he's making a promise. It's his way of saying, I'm ready to protect this. I'm ready to build something that lasts. It's not a phrase he throws around to get affection. It's a declaration of responsibility. And that's why when it finally comes, it feels so genuine. You can hear it in his tone, see it in his eyes, feel it in the way he treats you afterward. Because for a real man, I love you isn't just about how he feels today. It's about what he's choosing every day after that. It's his choice to stay consistent, loyal, and emotionally present. Too many people think that love starts when the words are spoken, but with men, the truth is the opposite. Love starts long before that moment. It starts in the small things, how he listens, how he shows up, how he tries to make you smile after a long day. His I love you isn't the spark, it's the flame that's been burning quietly, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. It's his way of confirming what you've already felt through his actions. And once he says it, he means it. He's not testing the water anymore. He's diving in completely. That's why a man's I love you should never be taken lightly. It's not the beginning of a story. It's the moment he finally puts words to everything his heart's been saying in silence. It's not just love. It's trust spoken out loud.